What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Bartender Hideout. Here today for episode number 43. We're really getting to the end game here today. Um, as of now, we will be talking about the Hanky Panky. No worries, nothing sexual about it. We're just going to be talking about cocktails today, okay? So, Uncle Bob will be chiming in and telling us a little bit about the history of this drink. Afterwards, I'll be having a taste myself, or no, actually, I'll be making it first, and then I'll be having a taste. Probably a better way of doing it. And as you guys know, obviously, this list that we're talking about is the Drinks International top 50 most popular drinks of 2020. But at first, let's give it over to Uncle Bob and see what he has to say.
Welcome to Storytime with Uncle Jan. So, today we're going to be talking about the Hanky Panky. This is said to be invented by Ada Coley Coleman at the Savoy Hotel Bar in London, and she was working there between 1903 and 1926. This cocktail was actually made for a famous actor at the time, Charles Hodder. He inspired the drink because he said to Coley, which she was called at the time, I need something to pick me up. She started tinkering with some gin, with some vermouth, and actually with some orange juice at the time to make this cocktail. And when she was finished, she said, "Okay, there you go, you've got your pick me up." And he tasted it, and the first thing he said, "By Jove, that's a real hanky panky." It might have been because it was working at a movie at that time about a stolen £100 bill, which had a butler named Hanky Panky at the time as well. But let's leave that in a minute. There was at the time a speculation about this Ada Cody mentoring Harry Craddock, which you might know from the 1930s Savoy cocktail book, of which we find a lot of cocktails on the menu this time. She may have mentored him at the time to make the cocktails that we drink and love at the time right now. And he was the one who also printed this Hanky Panky in his Savoy cocktail book around 1933. So, who I go to for my drinks right now is Koen, who will be showing you how to make this drink. Cheers.
Well, thank you, Uncle Bob, and let's get started with this cocktail, shall we? Um, so, as you know, Hanky Panky, with this one, we're going to be using our stirring glass. And again, this is one that we don't need a lot of ingredients for. We're just going to be using 4 ingredients, but we want to be using some good ingredients. That's the main key, I guess. So, at first, I will be using Heyman's London Dry Gin. Basically, the main part of it is that we want to be using a London Dry Gin, since that doesn't necessarily have a lot of flavors added. Obviously, I have a bunch of gins sitting here, but there's a bunch of flavors added maybe in some of these gins that is the main reason why we won't want to be using them, because it might actually throw off the cocktail. So we want to have a London Dry Gin, since it doesn't take away a lot from the flavor that we want to get in this cocktail. So that's why we will be using Heyman's London Dry Gin. Some of the other ones that you could be using is a Tanqueray, perfectly fine as well. Bobbies that we used before in some of our cocktails. Definitely some of the cocktails that, or some of the gins that we can be using. But for this one, we'll be using 45 milliliters of gin, or an ounce and a half. That should be all good. Then I have our Antica formula that we will be using today. I know I've used this in a couple of episodes as well. You also have like a Martini Rosso that you can also use. Kind of depends on what you can get at your local wholesaler, what your budget is, obviously. What this one just tends to be a really nice vermouth that we can be using. So again, we will be using 45 milliliters or an ounce and a half. Add that to our mixing or stirring glass. And then finally, we will be using a Fernet Branca. This is actually one of those ingredients that might not be, well, actually, it probably won't be in your home bar. This is more of a specialty item. Um, Normally, most liquor stores should have this, but it's kind of like a really strong liqueur that is gonna use or put in a lot of flavor into this cocktail, which should be quite nice actually. But this is definitely one that might not be your in your typical bar at home. And what we will be using is about a bar spoonful. That's all we need. As I said, this is a pretty strong liqueur, so we don't want to be adding too much flavor. If you add like 10 or 15 milliliters, it's gonna overtake the whole cocktail. So let's not do that. And then as a final touch, I have a little bit of salt, so it's just gonna be about 2 dashes of that, just to add a little bit of that saltiness to it. If you have like a saline solution, which is also more common now in bars, definitely use that. About 2 drops should be more than enough. And then besides that, we can start stirring this drink. Spillage. We'll add some ice. And as I said in previous episodes, or episode at least, when we are stirring this cocktail, make sure to use the flat end of the spoon and put it against the flat end of the mixing glass, so we have a good way of actually stirring this drink. Makes our life a little bit easier. If you start mixing in the middle, your spoon is gonna go all and everywhere, so we don't want to be doing that. So, as you guys know, when we're mixing, we want to dilute the drink as much as we can, or at least a little bit, so we take out the sharpness of the drink, so we don't feel like we're just only sipping alcohol, even though we are, maybe, or not. And that's actually the main reason that we're doing this. Also, we are cooling down the drink, since who wants to sip a warm drink, especially now during summertime. We want to have cool drinks in cool glasses. Talking about cool glasses, let's get that one ready. There you go. And then last, a little bit of stirring, and a little taste. And actually, that is, or it seems like it's quite ready. So let's take our julep strainer and pour that right into our glass. Look at that. Perfect. And then as a final, we're just gonna use our orange zest. Cut that down. And just make sure we get all the aroma out of the zest. And give it a little twist. And then just straight on drop that in. And there we go, guys. That is the Hanky Panky. Okay, let's give our verdict about this one. I think you really mainly get like the Fernet Branca. Only like, it's weird because there's only like a bar spoon of it in it, so it kind of shows how potent that stuff is. But again, the mixture of it with the gin and the vermouth in it, it actually works together. Like, this is not a combination that I would think of personally, and this is not a drink that I would in generally order. But I can see that there is like a little group of people that would really enjoy this and be sipping this, especially the people that enjoy Fernet Branca as it is, because I know there's a bunch of people that really do like Fernet Branca. I think they would honestly, they would enjoy this one. This is not one that's going to be on my top 10 list or whatever, but it's still, yeah. Honestly, I know I said this a lot of times already, but it fits on a list like this because it is a good classic and it knows what it wants and where it needs to be. The measurements are there to make sure that we got a really good balanced cocktail. and I think that's in the end is the most important part. So yeah, and I think that's all I have for you guys when it comes to the Hanky Panky this week. Um, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop us a like and also subscribe to our channel, because we obviously work very hard on this, and a bunch of you guys are actually not subscribed already. So make sure to drop a subscription on that one. And for now, that's all I'm gonna leave you with, and I guess I'll see you guys next week.